There's no time.
The time is
13
o'clock.
Hey, here we are once again.
Yep.
It's Friday night.
Hopefully the audio's working.
Yeah, can everybody hear us? Because
Yeah.
I've been having all kind of like fucking problems
Today
with
we
this
got-
shit, man.
Today we got a good one. It's the Columbine Massacre.
I can't believe we
Which-
haven't got around to this one.
I've talked about this case before. I actually knew some people who went to Columbine, but I told you about that, man.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
talk about it. But other than that, I'm still feeling kind of like shit. I'm better today than I was yesterday. But I'm still not like fucking at the top of my Tom Ross game. So I'm gonna sham on this show. I'm gonna sham my ass off. I'm gonna sit here and just kind of go, yeah. Which some people might like that. Some people just like it, right? Just shut the fuck up. Sometimes Tom's just gotta shut the fuck up.
There's another shirt right there. I will wear that shirt with pride.
You like that one?
Sometimes Tom just needs to shut the fuck up.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said sometimes Tom just gotta shut the fuck up.
Yeah, sometimes he's gotta.
Yeah.
Although you do
sometimes
know
Tom's
about
gotta
this
shut-
case, so you do need to help
Yeah, I
me
know all
out
about
with
this
this because
case.
this one's kind of like a complicated one, and I do
Yeah.
kind of feel like as well. There's a lot of misconceptions about this case, like what caused it, and there's a lot of theories about it. And it's like shit that came out about it later on.
This is before the fucking second part of the war broke out. I was living in fucking past Christian, Mississippi, and partying a lot in the French Quarter down in New Orleans.
Thank you, DJ Maniac.
Yeah.
He says sometimes Tom needs some Advil too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been taking
Yeah,
that as well.
So I was hanging out at the Crystal down in the fucking French Quarter, that in fucking Pierre's the convent, which is a private club where Jerry Springer used to fucking hang out.
Yeah, we've told that story before.
Yeah. One they wouldn't let Marilyn Manson into. And he was hanging out down there, and fucking when this shit went down, man, our whole world fucking turned upside down because everybody on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi thought anybody who looked fucking gothic at all caused that shooting.
Yeah, I remember that pretty vividly.
Remember when that shit happened?
And they weren't even goths or anything.
No, not really. They liked KMFDM and stuff. They were into more like industrial music.
Yeah, and they didn't even look that.
No, they just were.
Whatever.
They looked cool to me, fucking. I would have hung out with them, if I was in high school back in those days.
The more I find out about them, the more I definitely would not have hung out with them.
No. You talked about how they looked. Look at you. You putting words in my mouth. You didn't let me finish. Based on how they looked, I probably would have hung out with them if I was in high school at the time. They looked all right. I thought they looked cool. And they hung out with a lot of people that looked all right. But there's some issues with that school, and there's some issues with some shit that those kids fucking did. They were on a lot of fucking medications, and you see recordings of the dudes. They're kind of fucking all over the place. They can't, They can't stop fucking talking, and fucking they're nuts. They're fucking nuts.
Probably, I'm going to say right here, Eric Harris more than Dylan Klebold, and they're both absolutely responsible. They're both, horrible mass murderers. But I do kind of feel like, Eric Harris probably a psychopath. And if you read like a lot of his journals and watch some of their videos and stuff like that, and there had been complaints about him from that like for several years prior. And Dylan, I feel like more a depression issue, but also they both had obviously rage issues. And I do kind of feel like I kind of want to get into it a little bit because I do kind of feel like bullying was an issue, but I don't think it was as big an issue as maybe people thought it was. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think they were as bullied as much as maybe they were putting across. They did kind of feel like, I do kind of feel like they had a little bit of a paranoia or like a victim complex kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Going on.
Yeah.
Because they definitely had some mental health issues. Big time.
Yeah.
Both of them.
I don't like to make it, what they did was fucking big deal, but I don't like to make a big deal over the reasons of why the shit goes down. That shit went down for fucking bullshit reasons, really. none of that shit was important. It was more like a natural disaster. Because there are a lot of fucking kids that are just like this, that don't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are guys that are like that, lots of them in high schools that, nothing ever happens. It's just it happened to be the combination of these two dudes.
Thank you, Zach.
In that place at that time, under the societal conditions of the time, fucking ended up in a mass shooting.
And it's pretty sad, too, because I kind of feel like the fact that there was a little bit of mythologizing about it afterward because it was such a big media event, I do kind of feel like it maybe became a template for, she's going to jump up here, became a template for subsequent school shootings. There had been some school shootings before this. This happened in 1999, but... this at the time was the worst one. I believe now Virginia Tech is the worst one as far as victim count goes. But this was kind of like the first one of like the media age. It was all over the media. And I think it kind of inspired some other dudes that had similar issues to these guys to kind of act on the shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was a lot of things at once.
It really was. It was just kind of like a perfect storm of awfulness.
Actually, I think a lot of it we're getting ahead of ourselves, really.
Well, we're just doing a little overview.
It's just the introduction. Internet had a lot to do with it. I remember I was there at the time. It was the beginning of the new internet. You know what I mean? And you had guys like this getting access to the internet thinking that they were basically kind of like outside of society, that they were in a secret society. Because the internet was kind of a secret society.
Because definitely Eric Harris big time felt like he had something of a god complex, like a lot of psychopaths do. He kind of felt superior to everyone else, like everyone else was stupid compared to him, and shit like that. And
most of the world at that time wasn't on the internet, and if you were on the internet talking to other people who are like you in other places, or getting your hands on cool music and things that you thought was real cutting edge and real fucking cool, then you felt better than everybody.
And I definitely remember feeling like that because, like, me and my friends felt like that. I mean,
they don't know any of this shit. Yeah, we're on the internet.
Yeah, we're fucking special. God damn it.
So that was part of it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of us felt like that. Yep. It wasn't just them, but I mean,
I was fucking blown away during this time that I could find goth clubs and events anywhere in the United States at any time in any city where I wanted to go through the internet when other people couldn't.
Yeah.
Because. You know what I mean? Mundanes couldn't do that.
I must be more awesome.
Yeah, we're just fucking, we're ahead of the curve. Yeah, that's the way it was.
I just wanted to go back because I think Trevor asked you a question about the guy that makes the Grendizer robots. Mm-hmm. So I guess he's talking about, but I have to scroll back up and I'm afraid to touch anything. Okay. So maybe you want to scroll it on your tablet. I mean, I have to touch things sometimes because I have to scroll through my notes. But
who was it that asked it?
Trevor. It's kind of up. It's kind of up a little way. You know what I mean?
Way up at the top?
Well, not all the way at the top, but it's up there a little bit.
Hey, Tom, random question. Does that guy who makes the Grendizer and other things, does he make Gundams? No, No Gundams. He just does mostly Go Nagai, 1970s super robot stuff from a Japanese dude named Go Nagai. Kind of like their version, I guess, Stan Lee, But no Gundam. That was 80s.
Yeah. Thank you very much, SideQuest Hero. Still can't do Patreon again yet, but I love the show. Thanks for the hours of entertainment. Well, you're very welcome. Thank you very much for hanging out with us and for supporting the show. We have a good time doing this. Sorry we didn't do as many this past week, but germs. Yeah. That was bad, you guys. All right, so we do actually have a few shout outs to do before we kind of get into the case. And like I said, this is kind of a complicated case, so we probably need a while to get through all of it. I think I said this on a few of the matinee shows or something like that, but Ken, who I don't know if he's here yet or not, sent me 2 jars of really nice organic cashew butter. So I'm very, very excited. Yeah, I've been eating that like on toast, and it's like delicious. Yeah. So thank you very much for that.
Louis sent us a damn Blu-ray.
I was going through my list. I have a list right here.
She got a list. See, she's fucking organized. See?
Well, yeah, I can't just like go around doing shit half-assed. Yeah. It would never get done otherwise. I have everything. I wanted to say we have a new patron named Noah. So thank you very much and welcome. Also, Louis just sent us a movie yesterday, which actually I had never heard of. When did it come out? 2016 or 2018? I can't remember. But it's like fairly recent. And the movie's called Wind River.
Yeah, we already watched it.
And we actually figured with like last night, we were kind of like, it was kind of early. So I was like, well, we don't have to watch, we don't have to start Spartacus yet. Let's watch this. It's like, that sounds pretty good. It's a thriller and stuff. And it's based on a true story. So we actually watched it. It was like really, really good. So we'll probably talk about that on Sunday's matinee show. It's unusual that we actually like the day that we get a movie, we actually like have time to watch the movie. Yeah. So I was like kind of excited.
Well, we got a lot of movies backed up.
That's what I mean. I have this big, and like I said, that's why today I started recording like new movie reviews, like just me like talking about horror movies, and I'm going to do old ones, new ones, shit like that's like ones you don't really care about or ones you don't want to watch because it's just like I have, we have a pile of them in there. I have a huge list of old ones and new ones that I want to see or that people have recommended. They're like, hey, do one on this. Hey, do one on that. So I keep like a big list about it. And I just felt like, man, we're getting so behind. So I need to just start doing some on my own. So I'm going to start doing a couple of weeks. So I actually recorded the first couple today. They're going to start going up like April 1st, I think. But, so I'm kind of excited about it. I think that'll be super fun. I have so many movies that I really need to get to, that I really want to see, that I just haven't had time to watch. So at least that'll give me an excuse. Like I said, just like my horror book review show gave me an excuse to like read a bunch of new horror books, which I'm really digging that actually. It's nice to catch up on some shit.
Looks like T just showed up.
Hey, you guys.
What's up, T? Did you see?
Thank you, Dermot. Thank you very much. Glad I'm not the only one who keeps lists for everything. I get literally every single morning, I get up and make a list that says Monday, and then I list every single thing that I have to do on that day, and then I mark it off.
We had a list of everybody who sent us Blu-rays, and she lost the list.
And I lost it. So I try to keep things organized, but it doesn't always work out. Yeah. Well, sometimes, like, because I like to write everything down. Like, some things I have typed. I'm kind of disorganized, but organized at the same time. Like, if somebody came in here and needed to find something, they probably would not be able to find it. But I usually know where it is. Not always. Sometimes, if it was a long time ago, I was like, oh, I know I made a list for that. Where the fuck did I put it? And then I can't find it. But I have a notebook where I like to write everything down, and then I try to keep, and then sometimes what happens is like, I'll make a list like on a piece of paper, like I'll write it down. And then later, like, months later, I'll just see the back of it or something and be like, oh, that I don't need that piece of paper anymore. Let's just scrap, and then I'll throw it away. And then I'll be like, oh shit, that had like some important shit on it. And then it got thrown out. So,
Yeah. Hey, T, I saw Red Sun again after mentioning it. I rented it. It was like $3. $3 or $4, I think, on Amazon, and it was even better than I remembered it. So on second viewing, it was really good. There was a lot of stuff I forgot about it. Like I forgot Batman was in it.
Yeah, I forgot Russian Batman and Russian Batman and Russian Wonder Woman was in there.
No,
right?
She's not Russian.
She's not Russian.
She's from where she's supposed to be.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
God, it wasn't even that long ago that we saw that, and I already forgot.
Yeah,
details.
There's a Russian version of Batman, and I'm like, damn, that's it. Yeah, that's me.
Tom is Russian Batman.
Yeah, I'm fucking Russian Batman.
Oh, you should dress like that. That'd be a Halloween costume.
Oh yeah,
that'd be a good Halloween costume.
The costume's easy to do. It's just gray BDUs with the damn bat, with a fucking mask and a cape, with a damn Russian fucking snow cap on there.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be rad.
His gloves and his fucking
and be like, look,
he'd have like knee-high New Rocks would work.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
you've already
Russian
got those.
Batman. He was a counter. He was a terrorist basically, but he was trying to overthrow fucking Superman because he was a fucking dictator. So he was a good guy, but he was fucking real ruthless. Yeah.
Yeah, good. He was
kind of like the Punisher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for certain definitions of good.
Yeah. Well, good is.
It's a sliding. It's a sliding scale.
Yeah. Good is an opinion. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that was all the shout outs that I had. So yeah, so I'm gonna show you right now. Do you see where this little gray square is up here? You see that? And that's the top of the page?
Yeah.
Okay, so look at all of that.
Damn.
Okay, so that's not. That's
Well,
like,
that means I'm gonna have to fucking do all kinds of kitty action too. Let cats out, let cats in.
is she in? She is inside, right?
She's
'Cause
in right now.
I think she just tried
it's
to.
getting dark. See, she wants to go out.
She just came up. She just came up here to the corner and she was like looking longingly at the corner of the desk, going, "Man, I could jump up on that and knock all your shit off."
Yeah.
Last night we found her by the pond, like she was standing by the side of the pond, and there were how many birds were in there? Like how many sandhill cranes?
Yeah.
There were two of them or three of them?
Two
Two of them, and they were standing in the water and they were sleeping, like standing up. And she was just like sitting there looking at them, going, "What are these weird birds doing?"
Yeah, I was shining a light on her. I could see her eyes and her collar down at the end of the pond. And I go, "You better come here. You better come here." She wouldn't come. So I went over there to see what it was. And she's standing by these birds, looking at them, going like,
She's like, "Look, Daddy, what are they doing?"
"What is it? Why? Why? They're sleeping. Come on." Why? Because they're big, sandhill cranes, what, 4 feet tall?
Yeah, 3.5 to 4 feet tall.
4 feet tall, yeah.
Yeah, they're big. They're big ass birds.
If
you've never seen one before, they are gigantic fucking birds. They're not dangerous or anything, but they're gigantic.
That's where the myth of the Mothman may have come from.
I suspect that much as well. Could have been a big ass owl too, but I do kind of feel like maybe sandhill crane because that is maybe a bird that's not as common in that part of the world, so they wouldn't have been as used to seeing it because those birds are fucking huge, like when they're flying.
Yeah, and they're very intelligent. They'll come right up to you and tap on your window. Or tap on your door, try to get you to open the door because they want food.
Excuse me.
And if you open the door up and stay there long enough, they'll walk into the house.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And they turn their little red eye toward you and they'd be like...
Yeah. Especially if they have children with them. Yeah. They want you to feed the children. They'll sit there and let you feed the children.
Because they always go in little family groups. They're either in pairs or a pair and their kids.
Yeah, and they'll eat right out of your hand.
Well, the ones around here will. Technically, you're not supposed to.
And really, I stopped doing it.
Because they're really loud.
I stopped doing it because they started to demand to be let in. Who's knocking on my fucking door? And you open up and there's birds. Get out of here. And they won't leave. They'll just go.
It's so fucking funny.
They go, get out of here. And they're like, no, I'm coming in. So I got to feed these children's.
Yeah. You know what I mean? You have food in here. Come on, give it up. I know shit, man. One time I was sitting here in my office working and like I heard like bang, 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 bang. And I was like, what the fuck? And then like I looked out there. There's like a window right there in the hall, like by the bathroom where the cat tree is. And there was like there's a fucking sandhill crane just standing there like looking at me.
She said she did see gargoyles though. Remember gargoyles? Yeah.
I remember that. I kind of want to watch that again. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It was good for made for TV. It had good costumes for the day.
There were some decent made for TV movies, I feel like, back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, gargoyles. That was some shit.
Matter of fact, I was just talking about one made for TV movie on one of my movie reviews because I was reviewing Threads from 1984, which is British made for TV, but then we had the equivalent called The Day After. So I was like talking about that earlier, but that won't be out till next month, so don't get too excited. All right, so are we ready to talk about Columbine?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. You are going to help me, right? You're not just going to sit there and go, okay, good. Because I was just like...
I mean, I don't know all the little details. You got everything written down, but I remember, I remember a lot of it. I was there during it, not there, but during those times, everybody was paying attention to what the hell was going on. And I just remember the tone of the time and, everything that came out. I even remember what Howard Stern was saying about it. I remember.
Yeah, I mean, I remember too. I graduated from high school 9 years before this, but high school hadn't changed all that much, like in this 9 years subsequently. So I could still kind of like picture what the fuck was going on with the shit. But yeah,
internet had a lot to do with this, and so and I think society's reaction to Marilyn Manson also fucking factored into a lot of this.
Which is weird because it's like they weren't even that into Marilyn Manson.
They weren't into Marilyn Manson.
Not really.
For some reason.
He got kind of... but it's just kind of... Well, I feel like this almost kind of like spurred off a second wave of satanic panic kind of shit.
Yeah. Because
when this happened, it was kind of like... Now, sadly, it's just kind of like, oh, another school shooting. There's another one. But back in the day, that was kind of like a big deal because it didn't really happen that often. There had been one in Dunblane, Scotland before because I actually was there when that happened. I think it was 95 or 96. But where a crazy dude just like walked in and killed a bunch of preschoolers.
When this shit started to happen, I think like in the 70s, the FBI recommended that the federal government order local news and national news to not announce school shootings, that it would fuel to make more of them. And they were right. A lot of psychologists said that they should have not talked about that shit at a national level, because the dudes that do it are trying to get national attention.
Yeah.
Or global attention. So you have to deny them that. And they do it for a lot of other crimes that you never hear about, like bombings.
Which is actually what the Columbine Massacre was supposed to be.
There's a lot of bombings. And I have a background in that business, you know what I mean, through, in terms of helping to train law enforcement through post-blast investigation techniques and stuff. There's a lot of bombings you will never hear about them. Never. A lot of them are letter bombs. A lot of them are little bitty bombs left in people's front doors. Shit like that. They just don't talk about them because you'll just create more of them. And really, school shootings should have been the same way, but they just can't resist. They can't resist the shit.
I was reading, I don't know if other countries do this as well, but I was reading, I think it was, thank you, Zach. Have you ever noticed how the mass shooter has kind of replaced the serial killer in terms of prevalence and coverage? Yeah, it's definitely, serial killing has kind of declined. For reasons we've talked about before, I think. Environmental reasons. It's just, it's not as easy to get away with anymore, blah, blah, blah. So I do think that mass shootings have... repression. Yeah, but I do think that mass shootings have gone up. Yeah. So the crime is still not as bad as I think people are perceiving. But what I was going to say was that I don't know if other countries have done this as well, but I read somewhere, please, if anyone knows for sure, tell me. I think that New Zealand has adopted a policy that when they are first reporting, if there's a shooting or something, like there's some kind of terroristic, somebody that does something for attention, they can report the perpetrator's name the first time they report it. After that, they are not allowed to say the person's name for that exact reason, because they do not want them getting any kind of glorification or anything like that. So they just call them the shooter or whatever. So a lot of people are advocating, why don't we just call them like that asshole or something like, or that douchebag or something like that. Just so they don't get the attention that they deserve. Because the sad thing about it is that, particularly with the Columbine shooting, with a lot of like Sandy Hook, all that kind of stuff, a lot of people can name, the perpetrators, harder to name the victims, which is really, really sad.
School shootings, school bombings in the United States go all the way back to the fucking 1600s, before the United States. They were doing it all the way back then. It's just that it was much smaller schools, and word of it hardly ever left the town. So it never really became a thing, Yeah, So it does seem like, well, and we've talked about this before too. I think, in a lot of ways, mass media, immediate mass media is good, but it also gives you an inflated sense of how much crime is out there, because before there'd be bad shit going all the time, but you just wouldn't hear about it because it wasn't reported like in your local shit. But now everybody hears about everything all the time. So it just seems like everything, the world is falling apart. Right. It's really not like any more than it. And another thing is, in the United States right now, gun violence is fucking low. It's much lower now than it was in the 1970s. 1970s was a lot worse. And here's another thing.
Well, 70s and 80s were really, really bad.
And here's another thing. The United States, even though it has I think it has like 2 guns for every person in it, all right? It still has if you actually look at the true statistics, not the inflated ones where they're putting in police shootings, then they're putting in suicides, that doesn't count. We're talking about fucking real fucking crimes, you know what I mean? Somebody killing an innocent person. The shit where 2 dudes are fighting and shooting at each other over drugs. If you take that out of it, even if you left a lot of that in there, I think Brazil's homicide rate is still higher per capita.
I'm pretty sure it's
much higher.
I'm sure Brazil is high. I think Brazil is higher. I think it fluctuates between us and Brazil, and maybe there's one in Central America somewhere that's higher. But
in Brazil, fucking civilian gun ownership is totally banned, but they're everywhere, every fucking where. And you know where they get them from? The cops. Cops sell them. Why do the cops sell them? Because the cops are crooked. Okay, you don't pay your cops, and fucking the cops. Well, it's not so much that the cops are crooked. The cops will sell guns to ex-military friends of theirs because the Brazilian police are restricted and can't really fight, or they can't really fight the drug cartels. The drug cartels have all the fucking guns that they want. They're fucking AK-47 machine guns and shit. Brazil's a gigantic clusterfuck. And nobody's honest. Where are the guns coming from? Rich politicians. They just take money and fucking smuggle them in and sell them fucking secretly through fucking police stations and through drug cartels. Just because a person is in the ruling class or an elected official, that doesn't mean they're honest. That doesn't mean that they love you. All right? Okay? That doesn't mean that they give a shit about you. They're still selling drugs and guns to their own people because there's money. You know? And so you just... Systems... when you have a low trust society, no system you install will work because you just can't trust anybody. You know, and that's eventually what happens to big countries. Eventually, if they're just part of the way societies evolve under these conditions right now. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about it. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
All right, so let's go back to 1999. As I said, at the time, the Columbine Massacre, the largest school shooting at the time. I think there had been one prior to that. Didn't like Charles Whitman, like the Texas sniper. That, I don't know if they considered that technically a school shooting, even though it happened like on a college campus. I don't know. I don't know. But that was actually more. I actually wanted to do a show about him.
That was Whitman was the tower shooter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could kind of call that a school. He was random. He was just on top of a tower shooting at anything he could see.
Yeah, because I think he shot some other people. Yeah, it was like happened to be a campus. I think that's why they don't consider that a school shooting, because he actually did kill more people. You know, not that makes it any.
I'd put that up as natural disaster, though. He had a damn fucking brain tumor in his head the size of a golf ball.
Yeah, like I said.
Hearing voices and shit.
I have put that in the poll a couple times, but it never gets enough votes to win. But eventually I would like to do a show about that guy because he was kind of interesting. That was an interesting case.
Yeah.
But so this one, as I said, happened in April of 1999. 2 senior students, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, ended up murdering 12 students and 1 teacher and then killed themselves, but fuck them. So let's get into their background a little bit, because like I said, I think this is kind of important because the thing about the Columbine Massacre, it's been so, kind of picked over for their motives and everything, because I think it scared people. These 2 kids seemed so quote unquote normal and that they would do something like this, but I don't know. There's just so much, and I think that there's no one cause for why they of all people like snapped and did the shit. I will say from the outset, and I watched a couple other like psychiatrists and things like that talking about this, that from their standpoint, they thought that Eric Harris likely would have done this without Dylan Klebold. But they don't think that the opposite is true. They don't think Dylan would have done this on his own. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Eric Harris definitely would have, because from his writings and stuff like that, he definitely seems like he had psychotic, or he was basically a psychopath, Yeah. So we'll get into that. But otherwise, it's weird because on the surface, they seemed like very normal, which, like I said, I think scared a lot of people. And I think that's kind of what maybe spurred people later into looking for reasons. It's like, oh, they were wearing a black trench coats and they liked KMFDM, so they must have been goths and they were in the trench coat mafia, which they weren't, and they were Satan worshipers and they were this and that and the other, or they were Nazis or something. And it's like a lot of that shit was just not true. So... But, every time this happens, they always have to look for some reason. And if they can blame some group of outsiders that nobody particularly likes or nobody understands, then all the better. So, and I feel like that really did happen big time in this case. So Eric Harris, born in 1981, he was actually raised in Colorado. Mom was a homemaker. His dad was in the Air Force. He was a transport pilot. They moved around a lot, because it was a military family or whatever. His parents didn't think anything was wrong with him. They thought he was just like a typical kid. You know, he had a hard time like moving around and shit because he had to leave his friends, but you know, nothing out of the ordinary, you know what I mean? Just for any kind of military brat that had to move around a lot. He said too that when he was younger, he started saying like in his journals and things that people made fun of the way he looked, even though to me, like his appearance, not the way he dressed, because from the pictures from the time that he's talking about, he looked like just a normal kid. You know what I mean? He didn't look all gothed out or anything like that. He just looked like a regular preppy kid, you know?
Yeah.
So he met Dylan Klebold when they were both in 7th grade. But he goes, so they'd known each other for quite a long time and were kind of like best friends. They were pretty much inseparable, which ended up being not such a great thing because I think they both fed into each other's mental health issues in a horrific kind of way. So Eric Harris enters Columbine High School in 1995 as a freshman. And as I said, this kind of ties into the fact that I think there was a lot of shit afterwards about, oh, all these kids at the school picked on him and he didn't have any friends and he was a loner and he was just taking revenge. But from a lot of the stuff that I found out, like a couple people said, yeah, a couple people picked on him, but it wasn't that big a thing. He did have a lot of friends. He played sports on the soccer team. You know, he dated girls sometimes, you know, not anything long-term or serious or anything like that, but he did say, you know, people made fun of how he looked and he did get picked on a little bit, but I don't feel like it was anything that would merit like what ended up happening. You know what I mean? I kind of feel like he had a little bit, you know, and this is armchair psychologizing, I guess, but I do kind of feel like he had a little bit of a persecution complex, maybe. And also a little bit of a superiority complex, like you said, which kind of happened a lot with kids that were, you know, smarter or were kind of into cool shit and kind of felt like, oh, everyone else was beneath you because they were...
Well, the rest of the world wasn't online.
Yeah, that too.
So it's kind of like you were coming in underneath their radar.
Yeah.
That you had access to shit that other people didn't have. You had access to information other people didn't have. You could order shit that other people couldn't get in your location because you were doing online purchases way ahead of anybody else. So you did feel like you had a leg up on people, you know?
Yeah.
You're like, these idiots, they don't even know what, they can't even fucking order anything online. You know, shit, we were fucking, 30 years ahead? 25 years ahead.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just weird.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
it wasn't 25 years ahead. I guess it was probably more like, when you really looked at it, it was probably more like about 8 years ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that became more common within about 8 years.
Yeah, it totally did.
Of that time.
Yeah, Ryan's pointing out too that the whole thing about asking somebody, do you believe in God, and then shooting them, that is also a little bit of a myth, which evangelical Christians kind of ran with, which I'll get into a little bit when I kind of talk about the timeline of the shooting. But yeah, so that was another big misconception about it that, like I said, that has just become part of the fucking legend, I guess, if you want to use that word, like surrounding the crime. But yeah, so there were, but you know, there were some early like danger signs. So he's in high school, like he asked this girl named Tiffany, who was in his German class, and he went to homecoming with her. And then, you know, but it wasn't anything serious or anything. I guess maybe he asked her out again and she said no. And what he did was he faked a suicide for her benefit, which a little bit of a red flag there, gotta say. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so then, like, when she saw him and freaked out, he laughed at her. You know what I mean? So a little bit of a psycho. So Dylan, a little bit different. He was also born in Colorado, but I don't think that he moved around as much. If you see, like, his poor mom, I kind of feel bad for her, Sue Klebold. She's done, like, a bunch of TED Talks. She wrote a book and stuff about, you know, what happened in the aftermath of, you know, of the school shooting and, like, her having to come to terms with her son being one of the shooters, which, you know, was horrible. And how could she not know that all this was going on and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, if you kind of watch her TED talk and like read some of the stuff she says, she's like a really, man, I really would not want to be put in that like fucking situation. But she says, this is kind of interesting. I don't know how much stock I place in this, but she says that when Dylan was born, she had this really, really weird feeling that he was going to, quote unquote, bring her great sorrow. And I was like, guess you were right about that. It's almost like she had like a premonition. So Dylan was kind of was real sickly, like when he was a baby. Like he came out, you know, he had some kind of condition, and so he was real sick, but he got over it. So basically, Dylan was raised a Lutheran. Both his parents were pacifists, and they were really into the church and everything. You know, him and his brother were both, you know, went to church and they believed all that kind of stuff. And so basically they also had kind of some Jewish stuff, because I guess one side of the family, like the grandfather or something like that, was Jewish. So he seemed like real gifted when he was a kid, but he was real shy, real introverted. A lot of people commented on that, you know, that he just kind of, you know, he just seemed like not to make friends easily, because he was just like really quiet, and a lot of people did comment on it. So he found it difficult to make friends. However, just like Eric Harris, even though it became kind of the perception later that they were targeting jocks or people that played sports, both of them played sports, which I thought was like really weird. Like I said, Eric Harris was a soccer player. Dylan also played soccer. He also played baseball. You know, so it wasn't like they were just these little skinny, nerdy, like not physically active, like weirdos that had no friends. It's like they seemed like pretty normal. You know what I mean?
What was because of the schools they went to?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how much
Every
of
school
that.
I went to, you had to do what was it called? What was that shit? What did they call that shit? It was a course. PE.
What, PE?
You had to.
Well, yeah, but we didn't have to play baseball or anything. You just had to go do PE. You had to do like your exercises at the beginning. Sometimes you'd play basketball, or they do fucking, you know, other kind of shit.
They made us choose one.
Yeah, but when they usually say that people did sports in high school, that doesn't just mean PE. That means you did, like, you went on the team
on, like,
and
the
you played
teams.
Yeah, we didn't have to do that. You
Okay,
had to
so
take
on the varsity team.
had to take PE, obviously. But you didn't have to be on a sports team. You know what I mean? That's like after school shit. That's like, you know, extracurricular activities. So they were doing extracurricular
What was happening though?
activities.
Yeah.
What, in PE?
No, all the extracurricular stuff. Yeah, after school. A lot of people just wanted to. Well, it depended on what school you were in. The school I was in Brazil, no, you wanted to stay in late. That's when all the weed was being smoked. Smoke weed.
Well, yeah.
Work on the damn yearbook. Go to fencing class. Yeah, went to fencing class. Then you'd make out with some chick. Just whatever you were dating. You know, just whatever. You know what I mean? Because, you know, you might not be able to get to her. Because she probably lived far from you, you know. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to make your move at school. Yeah.
I was
I guess you didn't have that kind of experience in high school. Was high school a positive experience for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Junior high wasn't. I hated junior high, but high school was much, much better.
I loved all school.
Because in high school, I mean, I loved elementary, but because like I'm a nerd, so I got really into school. Yeah. And I really liked elementary school. All my teachers loved me. Junior high, I kind of hated, because it was kind of an awkward time and I got picked on a lot. But high school was like way better because I kind of got into like a peer group of like other like punk rockers and, you know, band geeks and stuff like that. So we had like a big group that hung out.
Maniac said the same thing. He was in trauma to get the chicks. Yeah, that's why I went to it too. Singing, doing the damn. What was this? I had fun at it. What were you saying, Jay?
I don't remember what I was saying.
Getting drunk talking about what?
No, I wasn't drunk.
I'm getting drunk and just talking about.
Oh yeah, because it's just sometimes I have a thing that I'm doing with I'm talking, then you kind of like interrupt that, and I forget where I was going. I was in a bunch of clubs in high school. I was in chorus. I was in let me see. I was in art club. I was in key club. I was in some other shit too. I don't even remember. But you know,
Drama had all the cute girls in it. Well, not true. It had the cute girls. It didn't have all. Didn't have like, you know. Yeah, it did. It had like the cute kind of like goth punk rock type girls were in it. They were in drama.
yeah,
A lot of them. Yeah. So it's just, you know.
yeah,
We're having fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's like I said. I actually kind of liked high school.
I liked all school except college. I hated college.
Oh, I liked college too.
Fucking hated it.
The only school I didn't like was junior high. I really didn't like junior high.
I completed one semester and then fucking went back for a couple of months and I said, fuck this, man. I'm tired of being bored and I don't like these motherfuckers. I'm getting out of here. So that's it.
Michael Schaefer, did you belong to the physics club?
Yeah.
Is that a Breakfast Club reference? No. No, I wasn't in the chess club either, but you know what I mean. I was in like all the arty shit and the choir and stuff. All right, so both kids, both of the Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, worked together at Blackjack Pizza, and also they were both on I guess they had a bowling class at the school, so they were both into bowling as well, and you know, both kind of computer geeks. Now, interestingly, a lot of when they kind of interviewed a lot of their schoolmates, at least the ones that survived, sadly, they said, yeah, Eric was real kind of outgoing, real charismatic, kind of likable, nice. But the thing about it, and this is kind of what leads me to suspect that Eric Harris was probably a psychopath, was that he took great pride in his ability to deceive others. He basically said in his journals that he just lied all the time and that he was proud of the fact that he was really good at making people believe whatever they wanted about him, that he was like this super nice guy, but really like the shit that he wrote was straight up horrifying. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But at the time also, some people did note that he also had some anger issues. He would get he would kind of like explode into anger at like very small slights, you know, things like that, and would amp shit up like really, really quick. Like, hey, I'm going to blow you up. I'm going to build a bomb and I'm going to blow you up. You know what I mean? And this is like a few years before the attack. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, there were red flags far in advance of what happened. It's just that, you know, it's really easy to kind of Monday morning quarterback and say, oh, people should have seen known. And shit. You know, but people, the thing about it is people did intervene. They did get arrested a couple times. They did get, you know, they had to go to anger management. They did actually get in trouble a few times for the shit that they pulled like a year or two prior to this happening. But I kind of feel like because something like this hadn't happened to this extent, to this kind of widespread mass media, you know, everyone knowing about it, I do kind of feel like people didn't really think that much about it. They're just like, oh, there's just these kids and they're just being assholes, you know, like teenage boys are being assholes.
Yeah, what you described was common.
That's what I mean.
Very
a lot of kids act up like that, and they don't go on to do this. Yeah. So it's really hard. You know, it's easy to say in hindsight, like after they've killed all these people, it's like, yeah, you should have seen this, that, and the other thing. But it's like a lot of kids act the way they acted. The
same guys who'd be like, I'm going to blow you up. I'm going to get my machine gun. Yeah, they're fucking full of shit. They didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then a couple years later, he's like, cool, you're hanging out with him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And most people grow out of it.
Yeah, well, fucking hormones
I mean, 99% of dudes that say stupid shit like that will never act on it.
Fucking plain.
But you never know which one's going to. You know what I mean? That's what's scary. DJ Maniac is saying, it's not like in my day where we had a guy that called in bomb threats on the regular just to get us out of class. Yeah, we had that happen too. And it's like, it wasn't even like nowadays, they'd probably call in the fucking FBI in your ass if you did that shit. Back then it would
be like a joke.
Yeah, it'd be like, there's
those kids.
There's Ross calling in another fucking bomb threat again. Yeah. So they're pulling the fire alarm. They used to do that a lot.
It wasn't just me. I mean, pretty much everybody back in our day, we had the feeling we were just kind of immune. That nothing would happen to us. Yeah.
I feel like most kids. Right. I feel like most kids feel like that. Yeah. I know. You know what's weird? I never felt like that, even when I was a kid. I was always like really, really, really aware of the fact that I could die.
Here, man, set this on fire. Here, see that? Look how that's burning. See how that's burning? Go through that dumpster. You know, and then the other guy goes, yeah, okay. And then the fucking dumpster, a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were real.
Well, I know.
Set that shit on fire.
Why is that a thing?
Yeah, that's why is that a thing? Yeah, and we
Yeah.
didn't think it was a big deal, you know.
Well, I mean, when I was a kid,
Just a dumpster.
and shit, I'm a girl.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I got a chemistry set, and I was
Yeah.
super excited. Like when I don't remember how old I was, 9
Yeah.
or 10 maybe. And the first thing I tried to do with it was make explosives.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and
Yeah.
like I said, I'm a girl.
The
I wasn't gonna
attitude-
hurt anybody. I was
Yeah.
just curious.
Well, we grew up very different than the fucking modern kids. You know what I mean? Nowadays, I think they keep them locked up. Shit, we were just as long as we were back. We were little kids running around like wild animals. Fucking as long as we were back before the fucking street lights were. You know, when the street lights came on, we were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, going down into the fucking sewage systems and shit, looking for the giant ants. Just anything.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Well, and my brother and his friends used to go out in the woods
Yeah.
and blow shit up with
set
fireworks.
things on fire,
Yeah.
you know, out in the fucking woods and fucking, you know.
Blow up their GI Joe figures,
We
put
had
them,
a-
strap them to bottle rockets,
we had
send
a
them to
damn-
the moon.
We made a fucking swing, you know, out of a rope, and would make a huge fucking bonfire and swing through the bonfire. That was a good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Nowadays they'd probably call the fucking law on you, and then they'd lock you up and see what was wrong with you or something. Do brain surgery on you.
Well, there was. I'm gonna say
do
right
shit
now
like
there was
that.
definitely something wrong with these two.
Yeah, well, there was on it, but this is, you know what I mean. Fucking,
Yeah.
For us, it was just called growing up,
Yeah.
having fun.
But like I said, the scary thing is that, you know, a lot of this kind of behavior is not all that uncommon.
No.
Particularly among teenage boys.
Yeah, boys. Yeah.
And you don't know which one of them, you know, which one of them are actually gonna fucking go on to do
Yeah.
crazy shit.
This was synergy between these two kids and fucking their friends and the entire school and the whole fucking town and the teachers. The teachers were also involved in this.
Although, as I said, these two, I mean, they both had journals, they had shit like that, even in their very, very early, you know, from the very early time that they were at Columbine, they basically, they didn't even care about who it was or taking revenge or anything like that. They basically just wanted to kill everybody because they wanted to.
They wanted to destroy the school.
Yeah, but they had fantasies about
Yeah.
just killing everyone they came
Yeah.
across. So I kind of feel like it was more, I don't even think it was as simple as, oh, we're going to take revenge on people that bullied us, because they just wanted to kill everybody. They didn't give
Yeah.
a shit.
From what I remember their friends saying in interviews is that they wanted to just destroy the school because they hated it. They didn't like the town either, but they liked all their friends. They just wanted everybody to remember, and they wanted to be responsible for destroying the school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that it was
that's all
something
it-
that it just gave them a chub.
Yeah, they didn't like school.
Like they just thought it was like super cool to just, let's just kill a
Yeah,
bunch of people
yeah,
and
fuck them.
we'll be infamous.
Yeah, everybody will know us. Yeah.
I wonder, and I'm sure I'm not the only person that has noticed this. I wonder, had they seen the movie Heathers from 1990 that came out 9 years prior? Because in that movie, JD, wearing a black trench coat, builds a bomb and is going to blow up the school, and he puts it under the. So I wonder if he kind of got the idea, and
Maybe.
he kind of espouses this kind of philosophy where he's kind of like trying to justify it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I think it might be coincidence.
it might be, but it's possible that they saw it because it came out, but like 9 years before this
They were a
happened.
little young.
Yeah,
They would have considered that like an old person's movie, I think, by that time. That wasn't fucking cool, I don't think. Christian Slater and Winona Ryder.
well, I don't know, maybe.
You know,
It's hard-
girls,
it's hard to
girls
say.
their age would have liked it. I don't think guys their age would have liked that.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's hard to say, but it's just
Yeah.
like really interesting that a lot of the shit they say sounds very much like shit that JD said in Heathers, and the fact that he wore the same thing that they wore
Maybe they did see it.
and did the same kind of shit that they, you know what I mean? I'm just speculating. I don't
Well,
know.
Winona was in it, so you know they probably watched Beetlejuice. You know they were probably into, you know, Alien. She was in what, Alien 3? Maybe they saw that. Maybe they were Winona Ryder fans.
Yeah, see, could be.
She was cute, goth girl. Maybe they were looking at that.
Yeah.
And they saw her in Heathers.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So also at the high school, they they did some kind of shit like you. They did like school play type of shit.
Yeah.
They were kind of AV kind of people. They did, video productions and stuff. They made little movies. shit like that. And they were also, as I said, they were real interested in computers. And like I said, this was 1999, still kind of early in the whole internet sort of thing. So they actually helped to maintain the school's computer server, interestingly. So as I said, I'm not saying that they weren't bullied, but I kind of feel like there was a narrative of them being these friendless loser outcasts, and that is really not the case. They actually were kind of involved in a lot of stuff in the school. They had like a pretty wide circle of friends, so they weren't just these loveless. I think to a large extent they kind of perceived themselves that way, though. My
understanding was it was a kind of like a school made up of factions.
Well, every high school is like that, though.
It was a very mainstream kind of upper middle class or nouveau-riche kind of fucking neighborhood of, I guess you could say, yuppie parents. It was an all-new area. And they built this school, and it was kind of like the best school in the area. The kids there were mostly very mainstream and kind of yuppie-ish, and they wore these white baseball caps they called themselves little white hats, and they were sports fans. And, they liked jocks and shit. The teachers, for the most part, were the same kind of people as their parents. They were kind of yuppie-ish in a way. And they kind of favored these mainstream kids. The kids that didn't fit into that group was the kids that Harris and Klebold, is that his name? How do you say it again? It's
Klebold.
Klebold, yeah. They fit in with a smaller group of kids that were kind of outcasts in a way, but I would have called them the cool kids in a way. They liked kind of alternative type fashions and stuff and other kind of music. They weren't real mainstream. Anyway, when any of these kids got in trouble, the teachers would crack down harder on them than they would on any of these little white hats. Now, some of the white hats were real kiss asses to the jocks. And they were they were the ones that really didn't have what it would take to fucking be a jock. Maybe because they were a little overweight or whatever. So they kind of make sport of these kids and try to fuck with them to get the jocks impressed. Which that was the same kind of thing I noticed in some of the schools that I went to, especially at Trenton High. I got along well with fucking jocks. Where's my boy? He's probably in the comments section. Fucking Eric. Eric was one of them. He was a really good fucking hockey player, and we loved him. He was cool as shit. None of the jocks ever bothered us. It was always the guys who wanted to be jocks that couldn't make it. You know what I'm talking about? It was like the fourth echelon. It was those guys, the ones you had to watch, because they were betas, and they were trying to become alphas. Well, there was a synergy between all these groups that slowly built up, and I think most of it built up in these two kids' head. They were intensifying it. They'd go out and they'd fuck with them, and they'd get fucked back with. It was like
because they bullied people too.
They were doing it too. It was back and forth, and they worked themselves up into a frenzy where eventually they were going to say, "We're going to fucking destroy the school." That's what it was. And based on everything I remember of the case, and I'm pretty confident my memory is correct, and maybe my information isn't as up to date as yours, Jenny, because you did the more recent research than me, of course. I think a lot of it ultimately was getting back at the entire damn town.
And the thing about it is that's scary to me is that it doesn't really matter that it was that town. It doesn't matter. It could have happened to anybody because, like I said, I grew up, goth in the school too. It's like, thank you, Zach. He says, if it says anything, when I was in third grade during the Bush administration, they would put post-its over nudity in old paintings and art books. I remember that, actually. I saw a couple books in the library that had that, some fucking
ridiculous shit.
Rembrandts and shit, or Rubens or something like that, where there was a lot of nudity in there and they kind of paste shit over it. That's ridiculous. But yeah, so I remember feeling like that when I was in school, more junior high than high school, but high school as well. Oh, this town is so lame. It's like, we don't have this, we don't have that. Everyone's so stupid. It's like, I kind of feel like that's a pretty common thing for teenagers to feel, especially if you're a little bit different. or you kind of perceive yourself to be a little bit different. So I do kind of feel like it's not unusual what these dudes felt. It's just unusual the fucking extent to which they took it. And I think that was exacerbated big time by their mental problems. Because I definitely, like I said, Eric Harris, I definitely do think was a psychopath for sure.
I would like to see a blood test on these boys. Like to know what their free testosterone levels were and do a whole pharmacology.
Now that he's on it, he thinks that's the root and cause of everything now.
No. I'll fuck with you. It's
like when you have a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. It's that kind of situation.
She's jumping to conclusions. That's not what I would like to see the fucking blood count, their entire blood analysis. I'd like to see their fucking free testosterone. I'd also like to see what kind of pharmaceuticals they were on. If they were on some of them crazy pills and they had real high testosterone counts, that'd make you real fucking crazy.
The stream crashed. Just telling you.
Yeah, that's because I was talking about pharmacology. I don't know. I think they can still hear us.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can you guys still hear us?
Well, I don't know. It's like it's really hard for me to keep on with it because I can't really see what's going on. Because my shit stopped. Ugh. God damn it. 1 hour.
Yeah, they can still see and hear us.
That's weird.
It's weird. That's weird, man, because it's totally frozen on this side, guys.
I don't know. Maybe I'll just it
makes us want to just restart this shit.
Well, I don't know. Should I just keep talking until it won't let me anymore? I don't really know. You still have the thing.
Look.
Oh, okay.
Back. It's fucking crazy. What the fuck is wrong with this shit?
Man, you tell me. I don't know.
Right. It's your laptop.
I'm gonna have to smudge this shit with sage. I don't know what the fuck is going on with this.
Fucking sense.
It really doesn't. Like I said, dude, listen to this. The other day, I literally recorded a test on this microphone because remember when we did the sidetracks on Wednesday night and everybody said, why the fuck do you guys sound like you're underwater? I don't know. But so I was going to record something on Thursday. So I very deliberately, I tried to put the settings back to where they were. I did a test on Thursday, like a recording, and it sounded beautiful. Literally 10 minutes later, I recorded like an hour-long video or like a 40-minute long video. I listened to it back and it sounded like ass.
Damn.
And I had not touched anything in the interim. Nothing.
We got to replace that laptop.
Or this microphone. Or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I think it is too. Because you know what I did? Like, because today I had to record some more shit. So I went in there. I went into the settings. And I went in there and I had to disable. What I did was I just disabled the microphone array on the laptop just altogether. I put this microphone as the only microphone. Hopefully that would help. I don't really know. But we'll see how it goes. I just can't understand how that happened because I literally did a microphone test and it sounded awesome. And then when I recorded again, like 10, 15 minutes later, it just sounded like butt. I had to do the whole thing over again.
Maybe you should close the chat.
Yeah.
I got the chat right here.
Maybe I should close
the damn chat. And you can run the chat off of you close the chat on that. That maybe it's just drawn too much.
Well, are you gonna oh, it crashed again.
Did it? No, well, it's probably still going. Did you close that entire window back there?
Well, no, I'm telling you, like nothing.
What happens?
Nothing happens when I click. Okay. Nothing happens. So I'm just telling you right now.
If it guys freezes, go ahead and tell me it freezes in the comment section.
So yeah, I don't really have.
Looks good here.
It looks. But I can't see the chat. I can't see. We're not moving. It's freaking me out.
I can see the chat.
Which means that you're just